or this shame. And it's not like we're told don't talk about it. They're not understanding our cultural nuances. They're not understanding our faith, which both play a really big part in how we manage our health.
A good woman sacrifices her needs for the family.
Because their entire identity has been based on caregiving for other people, that when they get to a point where they're an empty nester, they're like, well, I don't know what to do in my life. That couples are going through marital crises in these perimenopause years.
Wow.
Because women are changing. They're actually calling it MeNow divorce. They've given it a label. When couples hit this stage of life, something happens, right? Breakdown in communication. If a woman doesn't understand what she's going through, how is she going to communicate it to him? He has completely no idea what's going on. So he's thinking, where did my wife go?
In Urdu, menopause has no name. And in Arabic, it's translated as the age of despair. So when a major life stage is unnamed or labeled as being hopeless, it can become difficult for women to speak about their experiences. But today, we're breaking that silence. Welcome to Reflections and Realizations. I'm Alveena, and I'm joined by Kausar Tahir, a clinical pharmacist and the founder of MeNow Health, a platform designed to give women the words and advocacy they need to navigate perimenopause and menopause. Kausar, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
This is a really important conversation, so thank you for giving the opportunity to talk about it.
It's quite historic for me. You're my first guest.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm quite excited about the conversation today. So I want to start with talking about the moments that create a shift in a person. That moment when you feel, this isn't okay. Something has to change. So when was that moment for you?
With respect to building MeNow Health?
Yeah.
Okay. I think, hindsight's 2020. And I think that shift started in my late 30s. Late 30s, early 40s, because I wasn't feeling well. Like I knew something was off. So I'm going to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I'm getting my blood work done. And everything's normal. Yeah. But I don't feel good. And I used to be a very good sleeper. Like hit the pillow, I'm out. So my sleep is really being affected. And that affects everything and how you show up the next day, right? So I'm seeing, okay, my weight is going up. My sleep is really being affected. I don't feel well. And I know that sounds so vague, but I don't know how else to explain it. I just felt off. But everything is coming back as you're normal, right? There's nothing wrong. And I kind of suspected perimenopause or something related to my hormones, but the research doesn't, include people like me or the South Asian community who can start this journey early. So these doctors are all missing all of this. So that's when I think I started looking at, okay, I don't feel well. I'm being medically dismissed. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure what to do about it. And at some point you do kind of believe it, right?
Yeah.
When everyone is telling you, but you're okay. And I'm like, well, I guess I am okay.
Yeah.
I guess I need to do something else or look at something else. And yeah, there were lifestyle changes that I needed to do as well. But I kind of just kept going and didn't really revisit it until 1 year it got really bad. Like my joints really, really hurt. And I know it's not arthritis.
No, not at that age.
No. And I had really bad brain fog as well. It was affecting my salah. It was affecting even just day-to-day managing my house. I'm like, how come I'm forgetting so many things? I'm not this person.
Yeah.
So it's when you notice changes that are not your normal everyday self, like really big shifts. That year was really hard for me. That was, I think, the push. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That was the push to get me thinking about a solution because I love community and I love helping women. And I'm thinking I cannot be the only one in this situation.
Did it feel like you were the only one?
In the beginning, yes, because we don't talk about things in our community, right? Or even in our family.
Yeah, we don't.
So when you don't talk about it with others, how are you going to know others are going through it, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, yes, but I think I'm blessed to be around people who do like talking about difficult subjects. So when we did all get together and we talked about, okay, midlife and menopause, I'm seeing, okay, everyone has challenges, not necessarily the same ones, but everyone's struggling in some shape or form.
Mm.
So that kind of inspired me to do something about
Yeah.
it. So
you took something uncomfortable, some
Yeah.
discomfort, and you did something about it.
yeah,
Because I'm thinking about your story and thinking how many women are already suffering, whether it's joints pain or insomnia. But then when I think about the women who are doing something about it, very few. Like it becomes like we're
because
getting
I think
older.
they don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, if you look at our moms,
Yeah.
they didn't know,
No.
right? That term perimenopause didn't even exist in their time, right? So that transition that happens,
Mhm.
which can take years
Yeah.
up until menopause, that wasn't given a name. So if they don't know that transition exists, they don't know that phase of life exists, they don't realize that the symptoms they're feeling are different than other cultures.
No.
How are they going to manage that? They don't know.
No.
So we grew up seeing our moms suffer through this,
Yeah.
but not understanding why.
Yeah.
So why are we going to have that on our radar? We're not.
No, and it's interesting that you mention our mothers. Like I am so close to my mother and my grandmother, and yet I never heard them share their menopause journey, their experience, what they went through. Like I'm clueless. So and it really makes me think that you went through something so major, so life-changing, and you didn't share it with your daughters. And it makes me wonder that when we don't have these stories that they span across the generations, then how does that also influence when people like us reach that stage of life?
We're lost. We're confused. We don't have it on our radar, so we don't recognize the symptoms. We go into midlife with very little to no understanding of how our hormones affect our body. How does it affect us? How does it affect our family? I guess can I ask you a question?
Go on.
But did your mom give you the period talk?
No.
Okay, well then.
No.
That's where it starts, right?
Yeah, of course.
This is the beginning. So puberty, where you start your menarche journey.
Yeah.
And menopause, where you end it.
Yeah.
We don't talk about periods, so we're not going to start about stopping and starting, right?
No.
We're just going to avoid this topic because it's uncomfortable. So they're not going to share with you. Same way we weren't. My mother never shared with me.
No, but again, this period topic, shame, stigma.
Yeah.
There's so much in our community about the changes that we go through.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you did this, Kausar, but in Ramadan, I would pretend to fast.
Yes.
So that, the men in the family, they don't figure out that I'm on my period, as if I'm doing something wrong, as if something shameful is happening to me, like I'm bad or something embarrassing. And it's like, this then goes on to, affect how we experience perimenopause and menopause later on in life, because we're used to hiding. So that's our norm.
I would take it one step further. I think it affects everything that's related to female reproductive health, right? Yeah. It affects your pregnancies. It affects women who are trying to conceive, women who have issues with their period, or issues with their cycle, or, other hormonal conditions like PCOS, endometriosis. They don't know how to manage it, or they don't even understand that this isn't normal.
Yeah.
Because they've never been taught what is normal. And they've also been not taught, but we just don't ask questions. I don't know why we have this stigma or this shame. And it's not like we're told don't talk about it. We just know not to talk about it.
But there's so much secrecy around it. There's so much privacy. There's so much
maybe that's why. Maybe that's why, right?
But again, like you're saying, where's it coming from?
I don't know. I don't know. I remember, I'm a public school kid.
Uh-huh.
So grade 7, you get the health education in gym, right? And I was like, oh man, this is not good.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be in this class.
They shouldn't be
Although
talking.
no one said anything to me. My parents didn't say, oh, don't go to that class or whatever, right? You didn't have a choice either, right? It was part of the curriculum. But I felt this shame and embarrassment even listening to any of this. So I don't know when it gets indoctrinated to, like in our psyche, but it's there.
And it's
for
still
sure.
there.
It's still there.
It's still there because there are parents who opt out from that talk even today. They don't want their kids to have the puberty talk.
But they also don't do the talk themselves.
No.
So it's like,
let's just pretend it's not happening.
That's just the easiest thing. Doesn't happen. You'll figure it out. You're going to figure it out. But then they get their kids married and they're like, when are you going to have kids? I'm like, but you had no conversation with them.
Yeah.
So we avoid the topic, right? It affects women's health. It affects how you manage your health. If we are not asking questions or we're not giving our daughters, this is normal.
Yeah.
How are they going to seek help when something's not normal?
Yeah.
They're not. And they're going to be too shy to ask a question. I think that's very, very dangerous.
I think what's more dangerous, particularly today, when we didn't know, there was just ignorance.
Yeah.
Today, they're online. They have access to chat and all sorts. So I feel it's more dangerous them not getting information from the right places.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It has to come from the parent.
Yeah.
It has to come from the mom. And just even simple questions. I mean, I don't know if you're okay if we go down this road, but when do you do ghusl after your period ends? Like when is the right time? When can I start fasting again? Like basic questions that are related to our deen, but also linked to our cycle.
Yeah.
Women are still confused. There's sometimes I'm still confused, but we haven't been, given that permission to ask those questions. So we kind of just
or you learn too late. You learn way too late. You learn after years of having a period or years after getting married. Where you hear something somewhere and you're like, oh, I've been doing it wrong. I've been missing a key step all these years. So it has, is my ghusl even valid?
So the implications are quite
serious.
Quite serious and a wide spectrum. Like it's not just your health. It's your deen. It's your basic understanding. It's normalizing a conversation so that the next generation isn't confused like us.
Yeah.
And I am glad that we're talking about it, but we've also kind of suffered a bit before we got to this point,
right? I know. And I'll be honest, Kausar, I'm still not 100% comfortable talking about it. I was thinking about my dad. Because he watches every episode I publish. And then and then there's my grandma in Pakistan. And I was thinking, what are they going to be thinking listening to this episode? So for you personally, do you ever face criticism for the work that you do?
So I haven't faced criticism, but I have delayed sharing because I was, like you, not sure about what the reaction would be. Like when I first launched the app, I didn't really tell my mom until I saw her the summer after. Because that summer I didn't travel because I was part of this accelerator program that was helping me work on getting my MVP, right? So I wasn't there yet. So I'm not going to be like, hey, mom, I'm working on a solution for menopause when it hadn't happened. So I launch and then I tell her and she's like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. I wish I had something like this. I'm like, well, that's not the reaction I was expecting. But alhamdulillah, it was it was a positive reaction. And she's like, oh, this is going to help people. Even my mother-in-law, she lives with me. I didn't tell her till like way after. I don't think I even told her. I think my husband told her. He's like, oh, Kausar is working on, an app that would help women with midlife and hormones. She's like, yeah, that's great. I was like, oh, so that's a pleasant surprise. But the fact that I still wasn't willing to share shows that there is some
hesitancy still.
Yeah.
There is a lot of information out there on menopause.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come from women who look like me.
No.
Or who look like you.
No.
So tell me, Kausar, why does representation matter?
It matters so much. And one of the driving factors behind creating MeNow Health. Because if you have someone giving you, especially medical advice, who doesn't understand your lived experience, you're not going to get the right advice.
Yeah.
And I mean, the example that I give, if you have a flyer or a leaflet from your doctor's office, right, where the content is not relatable to you, and they translate it in Urdu, still not relatable to you. You can read it now, right, for some women, because that's their preferred language, still not relatable to you. You're still not going to get help. Okay? You're going to ignore your symptoms. You're not going to go to your doctor, or you'll go to your doctor, likely be dismissed, probably won't go again. your symptoms are either going to stay the same or they're going to get worse, or you're going to miss a diagnosis, right? You're not going to get care. So it matters when women are able to trust their source. Trust is a huge part of patient compliance, right? If they don't trust who's giving them the information, or they don't trust that the information is tailored to them, they're not going to do it. So we're intentional with the app. We bring clinicians on who mirror the demographic because we see that there is a big gap in women getting advice or getting care or support from the ecosystem. Because majority of the people, like you said, who are very vocal about perimenopause and menopause don't look like them. They're not understanding our cultural nuances. They're not understanding our faith, which both play a really big part in how we manage our health. So if you don't understand those two parts, how are you going to give advice that's going to stick? Right? How are you going to encourage these women to come in, see you, and actually follow through with what you're telling them? It's not going to work. So it needs to come from a trusted source. And the first step is having your experts mirror your demographic, and representation is why it's so important.
I agree with you. And this point that you mentioned about culture and faith, I feel in many communities, women grow up with the message that a good woman sacrifices her needs for the family. And then in turn, they can end up ignoring their needs, right? And for me personally, faith played a role because I internalized this faith-based belief that God loves sacrifice. God loves sacrifice. And that also influenced how I show up as a mother, as a wife, and in my life as general. And now it just makes me question that. How do these faith-based beliefs or these cultural beliefs, how do they then influence the way women experience perimenopause or menopause?
I think if you look at culture, because the faith doesn't tell us that, right? But the culture tells us to have sabr. Right? The culture tells us to be a martyr in the sense that you take care of, your parents, your husband, your kids. But if you make time for yourself, you're going to be taking away from taking care of other people, which is not right because you can't really take care of other people if you're not taking care of yourself.
I agree.
Right? But we're not raised with this belief. So we carry on, push ourselves to the limits, and then fall apart, and then resent the people around us because we're like, well, they don't understand what we're going through. But they're not, because societal norms are that's your role. I really do feel, though, we're the cycle breakers of that, because I think we're realizing we don't have a problem taking care of other people, right? I enjoy being a mom. I love that I can be a caregiver to different people, but I can't do that well if I don't take care of myself.
Totally.
So I think we are changing. It's still an uncomfortable change,
it is.
But we're changing.
And it's also what we've seen, because your children are now seeing that you are a caregiver, but you also do prioritize your own health as well. Whereas I saw just caregivers sacrificing themselves and doing and just burning out and then getting resentful and then getting depressed and sick very early on. And that's what I don't want. And I don't want my children to see either.
I think there's also, I don't know if giving up is the right word, but we have seen generations of women in South Asian culture that when they get old, then they're like, okay, now I'm old. Right? I can't do anything else. I've raised you guys. You've gone to school, you've gotten married.
I'm done.
You're out of my house. I'm done. But then you're not done life. You still have...
You're only 60 or 55.
Right. Because their entire identity has been based on caregiving for other people, that when they get to a point where they're an empty nester, they're like, well, I don't know what to do with my life. Right? And I haven't taken care of myself. So now I have all these health issues. And now no one's around to help me figure this out. So that's where the resentment, and I don't think that's what we want to see ourselves.
No, and then they're bitter, and then they're resentful, and then it's quite sad. It's quite sad to watch that.
Whereas when you see women of the same age group, but in other cultures, they're like, this is my time now, right?
Like now it's time
My
for us
time
to
to
book
shine.
a cruise or go for a
Yeah.
run. And
they're having like the time of their life and really like cherishing this time that they have for themselves. I'm like, okay, we need to find a balance between these two, right? Where we can still take care of our family or be involved, but then also take care of ourselves. I do feel like we're going to change that.
I agree.
Inshallah. I think so. Yeah.
And going back to the healthcare system, what do you think the current healthcare system still misunderstands about the way women of color experience perimenopause and menopause?
The research isn't there. Honestly, the research is Western-centric. It's looking at 20% of the female population, but applying those standards to everybody doesn't work. I mean, there's also the fact that they do studies mostly on men or mice and then, extrapolate that to women's health. That's a completely other issue. But if you're looking at trials that involve women, they're Western-centric and with a Western-centric lens. So I can't really fault the doctor that I went to when I went in and said, I don't feel good. And they're like, yeah, you're 41. It's probably something else, right? Whereas the standards say 51. Yeah, I'm 10 years early in that sense. So the research isn't there. And therefore, if the research isn't there, the guidelines are not going to be tailored to people like you and me.
Yeah. So I'm hearing a real gap. So the research isn't there. So therefore the guidelines aren't there.
Yeah.
But then looking at the women of color, they're not speaking up either.
They're not speaking up because we're told not to speak up.
Or you accept it as, for many people I hear, I'm just getting old.
Yeah.
If that's why my joints ache.
Yeah.
It's part of aging.
It's
and it's
part
like,
of
does it
aging.
have to be?
No.
Can we not do something about it rather than...
I think something as simple as, put perimenopause aside, yeah? Something as simple as understanding your cycle. We don't. So when there are changes with your cycle, you're like, oh, that's weird. But I don't know what to do about it. And I'm too shy to ask questions, so I'm not going to go to my doctor.
Yeah.
So then it just stays hidden. So what can you do at that point? If you're going to take that approach, you're not going to get help. The other gap, that I just thought of is that we're not really taught in school a lot about menopause. Like there are other health conditions and hormonal conditions that we might go into a bit more depth. But for me as a pharmacist, we did HRT 2 hours in 4 years. That's it. And it was linked to menopause when women are in menopause, right? We weren't taught perimenopause. So that term was not even in our vocabulary. If I talk to a lot of other doctors or, medics, as you guys call them, the British people, they also didn't get a lot of menopause training. Now it's becoming a thing. You're going to see everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Become a menopause trainer or a practitioner.
Yeah.
It's happening now because they're realizing that education wasn't part of formal training. So these doctors don't even have it on their radar. So now you have two people, like the blind leading the blind.
Yes. So there's a lot of information out there about the male midlife crisis, the red Ferrari and the young secretary. And it's almost as if it's an expected stage that men are going to go through. Let's talk about it. Let's joke about it. But when it comes to women's experiences at midlife, either people are dismissive or they're medically gaslit or it's just not talked about. Why do you think that is?
Did you even think that there was a female midlife crisis?
No.
No, right? We always think, okay, men go through a midlife crisis.
You call it male midlife crisis.
Right.
It's not female midlife crisis.
I don't know of anyone who's actually openly talked about saying, I'm going through a midlife crisis as a woman, right? But when you talk to women in midlife, they're like, we're questioning everything. We're questioning all of our life choices right now. I'm like, okay, that is your midlife crisis. We just haven't really given it a name. And I think we also react to it differently, right? So men are going through it. Again, not an expert in this, but they're going to make choices to make them feel younger, right? Or like, I'm still with it, or, vitality or whatever it is. For women, I think I don't know. I don't think we've discussed it enough to be like, these are the signs of a female midlife crisis. I don't think we're there.
I think it's also because it doesn't sound sexy.
Because it's not. It's actually pretty horrible.
To talk about joint issues and insomnia and everything else.
Okay, but I do see women. Okay, I don't know if you had this experience, but at 40, didn't you feel like a light switch went on where you're just like, I don't care what people think.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
I thought something happened.
But it was a good thing.
It was painful.
Really?
Yeah, because you go through all of that. What have I been doing?
Yeah. You question 100%. You're questioning, where am I? What am I doing with my life? Right? Yeah. Is this it? What's my identity? That I totally get. But I also see women be like, our 40s are very liberating because this light switch goes on where you're like, I don't need to be validated by others. I don't care what other people think. I am going to speak my mind now. I'm not going to shrink in settings that I normally do. So I do think there is positives to it. Maybe we just haven't put it together in a nice package like the male midlife crisis. But I do think that women are realizing that something happens in their 40s. Yes, the symptoms too. Yes, that happens too. But also a mental shift where they're like, you know what? I don't know if I want to spend the next 40 not being authentically me. So I hear
you, Kausar.
That's pretty cool. That's why we're here.
That's why I'm here with a mic in front of me with a podcast, because 40 did that to me.
And I think that's amazing. I think that is absolutely amazing that we're doing the things that we enjoy, right? This is something that you want to do for you. I'm doing MeNow Health for me. It's not related to our spouses. It's not related to our kids. It's not related to our role in the family or in society. We're like, this is something we're passionate about that's going to make an impact. We're going to do it. Maybe this is our answer to our midlife crisis.
This is our midlife crisis.
Yeah. But we're doing something productive about it. And I think that's awesome. So.
But I also think you can go two ways. You can go there.
Yes.
This isn't okay.
Why me?
Let me do something about it. Let me change. Let me build something. Let me create something. Or you can be like, life sucks. And let me just.
But that's exactly the road previous generations have gone down, especially in the South Asian community. Not necessarily life sucks, but, this is it now.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do now with my time? Yeah. I've taken care of everybody. Everybody's grown. Yeah. I don't feel good mentally. I don't feel good physically. I haven't invested in myself. So I don't know what to do with my time. Maybe they left a career or a job or didn't really work on a hobby or a project. So now they're lost.
Now what?
Now what?
Yeah. And especially when the children at the stage are leaving their homes.
Yeah.
There's a loss of identity.
Yeah.
What do I do with myself?
Yeah.
I don't know who I am if I'm not taking care of a child or a partner or something else.
Or in-laws or what? Yeah, absolutely. I think because we're seeing this, and we are a generation that's highly educated. Yeah. This is not something that we're going to be comfortable with in our old age, sitting around saying, we don't know what to do. What's our identity? Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, we're having those conversations and those feelings, but I don't think that's something we're going to be okay with doing and having a pity party. We're not pity party people. Let's do something about it. And I think that's very powerful. I think that's a shift.
But I think also you need more inspirational role models who are going out there doing something, and then that shows you, wow, that is so cool. I can do that too.
Yes.
Or why don't I do that too?
Yeah.
And we need more representation.
I love seeing other women succeed. I really do. And, thank you for inviting me to this, because I think this is exactly what we need in our community, to showcase what other women are doing, what they're building, how they're having an impact in the community, and how we can help one another. This is collaborative. No one's in competition with anybody else, right? We can all work together and collectively rise. And I think that's going to be such a powerful movement for our daughters to see. That's kind of why I started my startup group. I mean, it's the goal is to get other women to get their idea, project, business, whatever it is, passion project. Doesn't even have to be something that is going to make them money, but something for them, get it off the ground. Start, do it. Do something for yourself. I think not only does that help you figure out who you are, what you want in midlife, but it helps you show up as a better wife, a better mother, a better friend, a better daughter, daughter-in-law when you're taking care of yourself, right? You're pouring into your own cup. So, yeah.
I agree. I completely agree. But again, I find myself thinking that there is a group of women who are doing great, amazing things out there. But there's also a group of women who may not feel comfortable with the group of women who are doing something. Have you experienced that?
Wow. How much time do we have? Yes. I think it comes from, I've had a lot of support. Don't get me wrong. Very blessed to have a very supportive, cheerleading group of women around me. But there are the women that kind of look at you and be like, why is she doing what she's doing?
Who does she think she is?
Who does she think she is? Absolutely. But I look at that as they're coming from a place of insecurity. I think they wish or they want to do something. They just don't know how to get started. And it's just easier to bring somebody else down or be negative about somebody else's journey because they're not doing something. I don't really know how to deal with those people. I usually just, smile and go on my own way. And if they want help, happy to help. But yes, there's always going to be someone who's going to look at you and be like, who does she think she is? Yeah. But I feel like that's their problem. That's not an us problem. And I don't think we should be distracted by that and not continue on what we're doing. I don't think we should be discouraged. There's always going to be somebody out there, right?
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. So Kausar, in regards to your app, I know you have a section called Connect, which encourages women to connect with other women and share their stories and their experiences. Why is that important?
So the Connect or community feature is either events online and in person. I think because the first step is awareness and also not feeling alone. Now you're looking at what we're trying to do with the app is to support marginalized communities, okay? So cultures or women coming from cultures that don't talk about female reproductive health. That doesn't mean they're going to be all of a sudden comfortable talking about it because everybody's talking about it, right? There's still a lot of deep-seated stigma and shame. So we wanted to create a tool that can educate women from the privacy of their own home. So if they don't feel like talking to their mom or sister or cousin or whoever it is, okay, you can read the app, articles on the app, and not have anyone know that you're doing that and educate yourself. If you want to join an event and meet other women who are going through the same journey, that in and of itself really helps with your mental health because you're not alone. And honestly, if the women who are watching this podcast, I would say you would be surprised by the number of women who are struggling right now or having very similar, not the same, symptom profiles or similar challenges. It kind of helps knowing that you're not alone. And even that is enough to be like, oh, okay, well, I can do something about it if somebody else is going to also do something about it. I'm not helpless. So having that group support helps. I think sharing stories like we're doing today helps. I had one lady, I don't know her, but she messaged me on WhatsApp. She's like, you know what? I'm seeing you as a hijabi talk about menopause. Thank you for doing that because I didn't know that we can. And I'm like, but no one told us we can't, right? But again, that stigma is somehow in our DNA. And she's like, thank you for doing that because it gives me permission to talk about it. And she was a medic. Can you believe that? And she's a medic who is like, okay, so I can talk about this with the community. Because maybe she's going in with the same perspective you and I had as, okay, if we talk about it, what are people going to say? Because we're not supposed to talk about it, right? So I thought that was really nice. I'm not giving anyone permission, right? But if they're going to see me sharing stories as, okay, we can also share stories, I think that's amazing and powerful. And I hope that they do, because unless we share stories, how are we going to change the narrative?
I agree. And I think essentially, when you do share your story, it gives permission to another woman to open up and share her story. Because I've found personally, I don't know if this is after COVID or just in the last few years, but people don't gather like they used to. They don't get together like they used to.
Yes.
They don't open up like they used to. And this is part of the reason why I created this podcast, because it was easy to get a large group of ladies together and they'd all share their experiences, their stories. And now that doesn't happen. We're just more isolated. We're lonelier than ever. So something has changed over the last decade or even longer, where it's harder for women to get together and open up.
I never really thought about it being linked to COVID, but now that you say it, yeah, I think so. I think that year or 2 years where we were just learning how to live a Zoom existence, I don't think we are comfortable
Getting together anymore.
Okay, yes, getting together. But I also feel like women talking about health conditions has always been something that they're not comfortable sharing. Which is fair. I get it. It's a very private matter. And I don't think we're asking anyone to, go into a group of women and share private details. But if we're saying, you know what, we can all talk about certain topics in general and hopefully, inspire you to advocate for yourself. I think that's something that I really want the takeaway to be. We don't treat or diagnose on the app. I want women to advocate for themselves. When you go to the doctor, you have 10, 15 minutes. You need to make sure that you're walking out with a plan that works for you. How are you going to do that when the doctor doesn't even know what really is happening with you? And you're going to go in and you're going to say, I'm tired. Next thing you know, a couple questions here and there, your 10 minutes are up. So what did you achieve? Unless you really understand or have a baseline understanding about where your symptoms may be linked to your hormones, you're going to then only be able to ask the right questions. If you track your symptoms, you can go in with evidence now with our custom report. The doctors how is he or she going to dismiss you when you have data in front of them? Be like, this is how I've been feeling for the past month or 3 months. You need to help me out. Okay, well, let's look at, trends, patterns. Let's refer you to the right person. If I have joint pain, I don't need to be going to an OBGYN.
I agree.
But everyone thinks menopause and you go to a gynae. Not always the case. So like I said, things are getting missed. But we really cannot rely on just the healthcare system to figure that out for us. We need to advocate for us.
And I think we also need to share, because I think sharing normalizes it.
Yes.
And it also helps for somebody to share their story as well. Like I remember when I had my son and I was struggling with breastfeeding, and there was a lactation consultant in the hospital, and she told me that only like 30, 40 years ago, there was no need for a lactation consultant because women would gather. They would sit together.
Really?
They would say, somebody in the circle might say, last night I was struggling with my son latching on. And then somebody else would say, oh, I remember 2 years ago when I had my daughter, I had the same issue. And then I did this. So why don't you try this? Like just amongst women, there was just so much sharing of wisdom, because one woman's experience is likely very similar to another woman's experience. So I think even if it just starts with opening up, then it can move on to advocating and then going to see your healthcare practitioner. But I think the first stage is where we are, where a lot of us are getting stuck. We're just not even sharing with each other. Like if you didn't mention your sleep issues, I wouldn't have remembered, oh, I had sleep issues too around. Now I'm connecting. Maybe it is perimenopause. Sleep isn't what it used to be for me. I have to work hard at sleeping before it's not lie down and sleep comes to you. But again, you had to share that for a penny to drop in my head.
You're absolutely right. I didn't realize that. So she said before that there was no need. Wow.
Circles existed for this purpose.
Do you think because, and maybe I'm connecting dots that shouldn't be connected, but I'm just thinking, because you're right. It was very much it takes a village to raise a child, right? That term comes from somewhere because the village was raising the child and now we don't have a village. We're all in our small nuclear families. Okay, fine. We're not sharing our stories in the community. Okay, fine. I mean, social media doesn't help either when you're just like, do I really need to share? Or can I just go on Google? Or can I just, go on Instagram and see what other people are saying? Where now I see people do need to share stories on social media, like a podcast like this, because that's how women are getting their information. And hopefully we can go back to having in-person conversations about stuff like this.
I agree. And I think essentially this is what the work you're doing. You are.
I hope so. I think we are reaching women through sharing stories, absolutely. But you know what, that in-person meetings is something that we are, posting on the app. We do have in-person workshops. We are working on something big, and we're going to be working on it together. So I'm excited about that. There's something different and magical about getting women together in person. And you're right. After COVID, I think we're missing that piece. So having conversations face to face, I think, is also going to help women feel not alone, feel empowered, feel like they can actually do something about their health and actually have a conversation. I think that's another step to normalizing talking about hormones.
So Kausar, tell me more about MeNow Health. How do I download it?
Mm-hmm.
How can I use it? And how will it help me?
Okay, so MeNow Health is the company that has, different products and services. And one of our products is MeNow, my menopause companion. So that app is available on App Store and Google Play. It's in 6 languages, so English, Arabic, and we just added French, Spanish, Urdu, and Hindi. And that was from feedback from our users to have healthcare be accessible in a language that's comfortable for them. And that's so important. Like we talked about being culturally sensitive. Translating text that's not relatable is not culturally sensitive. So we've taken a lot of care to curate content on the app from a culturally sensitive lens, addressing problems and issues or obstacles that we're seeing in the communities that we're trying to reach. And then we translate it into 6 languages. The app has 3 features. So a symptom tracker, you can log your symptoms, you can rate the severity of your symptom. Your hot flash could be worse than mine. Your joint pain could be better than mine, right? So understanding that the severity also is data that the doctor needs to know. You can log your flow and the consistency of your flow. We had a user who, when we did a focus group putting together the app, told us that she was 49, heavy bleeding, clotting. She was told she was in menopause. So it was actually the opposite. She wasn't. She had stage 2 cervical cancer. So it's not a tricky one to diagnose, but it can be misdiagnosed or mislabeled because the symptom profile overlaps other hormonal conditions. So we want to capture as much data as possible. So you're logging your flow, your consistency of your flow. You're logging your weight, because we do see women complain that the weight is coming on and it's so much harder to take it off, right? What they used to do in the past to manage their weight isn't working now. So tracking your weight is also important. And then we have a notes feature. So you use that how you want. If you want to write down something you want to ask your doctor because your appointment's in 2 weeks and you're going to forget, that's the place to put it down. Or adding context. Saying you have anxiety, yes, that can be a part of perimenopause, but did something happen? Was there a trigger? Like, giving context to how you're feeling also helps your doctor push you to the right person or help formulate a correct plan for you. When you're ready to go to the doctor, you click on generate a report. Everything that you've logged is now going to be in a really nice PDF, and that's your evidence. That's going to make sure that when you go to your appointment, you're prepared. You're not going to be dismissed. You're going to be heard. The educate feature, which is so important, I think the one that our users interact with the most is we talk about topics, everything related to perimenopause. So we do talk about, the typical vasomotor symptoms like hot flashes, but we also talk about, women leaking urine because, there's issues down there when your estrogen drops. We talk about vaginal dryness, low libido, the mental health issues that are associated with perimenopause or can happen in perimenopause that women don't make those connections. We talk about preventative care, which we didn't grow up with, right? We didn't grow up with this mindset of take care of yourself in your 20s and 30s so that your 50s go smooth. We're now reaching that point and thinking, okay, now I need to do something about it, which is fine, right? Starting at some point is better than not starting at all. But we're putting all of that education on the app. It's all clinically reviewed. There are citations at the bottom of every blog. So if women want to learn more, they can. And that's really just to dispel the stigma and raise awareness so that when they read something, go, okay, my sleep is horrible. Or, okay, I do get more frequent UTIs now than I did before. Maybe it is linked to this. I do need to go into the doctor and get some help. And like the community feature we talked about, just connecting women. We like to say helping you find your MeNow sister, just making you feel like you're not alone. So available Apple Store, Google Play, free download, free everyday features. You can go to MeNowHealth.com. The download links are there, or you can just search for MeNow, my menopause companion in both stores.
So when you were mentioning some of these symptoms, it made me think about my husband.
Yeah.
What should he know about menopause?
Wow. He needs to know about menopause. And I think for them, like we are uncomfortable talking about it, right? But we're talking about it. They're even more uncomfortable talking about it, especially if you're coming from a cultural background like ourselves, right? They're like, please don't talk to us about periods. It's like, no, we're good. Thank you so much. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to know about it, but they do need to know about it. They do need to know about it because we are seeing, and the data is showing that couples are going through marital crises in these perimenopause years.
Wow. Because
women are changing. They're actually calling it MeNow divorce. They've given it a label. But if you look back, to members in the community or just in general, when couples hit this stage of life, something happens, right? Breakdown in communication. If a woman doesn't understand what she's going through, how is she going to communicate it to him? He has completely no idea what's going on. So he's thinking, where did my wife go?
She's gone crazy.
She's gone crazy. Or she's not the same person. Or how come she's getting irritated at something that I've done multiple times and she's never said anything, right? I'm telling you, that light switch that goes off in your 40s, not only is it like, okay, I'm going to be my authentic self, but I'm also not going to put up with stuff that I've been putting up with, right? So this change is happening that he doesn't understand.
And throw in the male midlife crisis.
Oh yeah, that's a complete mess. It's a complete mess. And then no communication. I mean, recipe for disaster, right? So yeah, they do need to know about it. We encourage men to download the app as well. Just read and see how much of a profound impact this change in hormones has on your wife's mental health, on her emotional well-being, on her physical health. She's going through a lot. And it's not something that's like, okay, 6 months and she's going to be out of it. This is it, buddy. Like, you're in perimenopause. Menopause is basically one day, really. It's the one day after 365 days of no period. And then you're in postmenopause where symptoms still continue. This is life now. How are you going to support your wife? Well, they can't support if they don't know. And they can't support if they're not comfortable. Maybe, okay, I think having a conversation is a bit of a reach right now, but at least educate yourself that this is kind of out of her control, right? She's irritable. She's not sleeping. she's also not understanding. So she feels like she's going crazy. It doesn't help when other people gaslight her and say, well, maybe you were crazy.
I mean, I think it helps if you can separate the two, that she's not going crazy.
Yeah.
Something is happening to her
Yeah.
and she can't help
Yeah.
being who she is right now. And the best
Yeah.
thing I can do is support her in this
Yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
rather than, what's your problem?
What's your problem?
What's your problem?
What's your problem? And I think it's a two-step, right? You have women who are not understanding or not admitting or not connecting the dots. So their spouse 100% isn't going to, right? Then it's having a conversation with your spouse to be like, hey, I think I'm going through my midlife crisis, and this is how I'm feeling. It's that communication is key. And I think a lot of couples don't have that communication base or foundation to begin with. So midlife can really throw them for a loop. And we are seeing couples just fall apart. So is it important? I think it's the most important thing to be having a conversation with your spouse about what's going on and communicate. How can you support me? Because they're not going to figure it out. And Google's not going to help them, right? You need to also be part of the solution. Be like, listen, this is how I need you to support me. Or I'm really resource low today. You're parenting today, right? Have those conversations so that he can help you. He's not going to figure it out on his own.
I guess you have to be together. You have to be aligned. You have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Because essentially you're not fighting with each other.
No.
You're experiencing something that's beyond your control. You don't understand it. You're struggling to navigate it and manage it. And the best thing they can do is just support you in your journey.
Yeah. And I don't think they realize, I mean, let's be fair. I don't think they realize how big of an impact it has on our day to day. I think they just think one day, here was my wife, and the next day, what happened to her? They're not understanding that transition. So it's honestly just education.
I agree. So, Kausar, what's next for MeNow Health?
What's next? We're still working on the app to add new features in 2026. So we're excited about that. We are launching Menopause training for corporates. And it's a really special training in that it does do some of the clinical baseline understanding, as well as how you can accommodate in your workplace, right? So we're combining the two, done really, really nicely. And it's for everybody because it's not just a female issue. So we do want all employees, male and female, to be present and take part in this training. And we're working on some exciting in-person events that I really think is going to help further normalize conversations. So a lot's happening. We're flying to Kuwait in February. We're in Saudi in April. We're in Dubai for a couple of events. So it's a busy first term. Grateful for the opportunities, and a lot's happening. And I would say for those who are listening to the podcast who want to be part of the journey, we love collaborating with like-minded women. Absolutely. So if you understand our mission and vision, which is to reach women, to empower women, especially marginalized communities, I mean, I would say reach out, please. We love meeting new people.
Thank you so much, Kausar, for sharing your guidance, your expertise. And I have learned so much today. And I know that today's conversation will deeply resonate with women who are navigating this stage of life. And I think what was my main takeaway is just don't go and see your gynecologist. All the answers don't necessarily lie with her.
No.
And I think even previously you mentioned go and get a scan done. Go and see.
Yeah, the bone scan.
Yeah.
So I think first step is education, right? So I would say download the app. It's free. We keep our features free intentionally.
Yeah.
Read about what other clinicians are saying about, the common symptoms and the not so common symptoms. Because maybe you're experiencing the not so common ones that don't fit into a nice box that is then unfortunately making you miss a diagnosis, right? Educate yourself, track your symptoms. And now when you go to the doctor or whoever your first point of contact is, they're going to direct you to the right person. Maybe it is the OBGYN, but maybe it's somebody else, right? But you need to do the work to go into that appointment prepared So we just help prepare women.
Great. Thank you, Kausar.
Thank you for having me.
For the women who have benefited from this conversation and would like more guidance, you can download Kausar's app MeNow Health, available on Apple and Google Play. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to Reflections and Realizations so you don't miss future episodes. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.